Tonight, Dawn Michele.
Fireflight.
Yes, she was the lead singer of Fireflight.
My favorite.
They've been a favorite of ours for a very long time, but she's got a new project now, and it's known as ALTIRA. And she and the other members of the band are going to be joining us in just a few moments to talk about this new project and their latest debut single entitled Black Hole. Well, we got a lot of people with us tonight. This is the band ALTIRA. Did I pronounce that correctly?
That's right.
We've got Dawn, Michele, Ash, and Gina with us. Before we dive into the depths of the interview, can you share with us a little bit about what you do with the band?
I'm Dawn Michele, and I sing.
I am Ash Blair, and I play the guitar.
And I'm Gina, and I play the drums.
It is great to have you on. Dawn, you have been a mainstay in my household for several years. I actually saw you live in Charleston, South Carolina back, and I think it was in 2010, 2011 at the Cathedral of Praise is where I saw you.
That sounds right.
Yep. And have a lot of your albums here. And my co-host in the back, you can see him in the back. He's got something he wants to say to you really quick.
Long-time fan.
What's his name?
That is Poe.
Oh, well, it makes sense.
Yes. He is very excited that you're on with us tonight. I'm excited that you're here. You've got a brand new project, ALTIRA, and you're doing more than just making music. You've got a mission. Now, there's nothing wrong with just making music, but there's a mission for the band. Can you share with us what the mission is? And can each of you tell us why this mission is so important to you?
Yes, ALTIRA is actually Hebrew for the verse, fear not. And that is our biggest push in traveling and trying to do outreach. For me, it's been just a really rocky time in the last 6 years, ever since the pandemic. I think the whole world has seen a really rocky time, and I think we've been seeing stuff we've never seen before. And I know that a lot of the ways that I would process my fear is that I was just really angry. Everywhere I looked, I saw people doing things that I was disappointed in or I didn't agree with. And I just spent a lot of that time just kind of angry and feeling like I just needed to get away from the world. And but I've been on a journey of self-growth, which hopefully we all are, but coming to terms with in the last couple of years is just realizing, what's really happening is that everyone has just experienced like a huge trauma, like a fear trauma with the uncertainty that the pandemic brought into our lives that we had never experienced before. And when we're faced with that kind of thing, the first thing that humans try to do is just scramble for control. And we're, instead of just living with the uncertainty, we can't, and so it comes out and we try to just control it and it just escapes. And I think it's been, we've been processing that fear through our anger. And as a result, everyone just seems to be more at odds than ever before. I think I've never seen such polarity and such. I mean, people have always disagreed, but I think that it has just gotten so deep and so strong that really people are so worried about whether or not they're right and proving they're right and people knowing they're right no matter what. It's really become the most important thing. And instead of, God's love. And but I felt like God was speaking to me, that everyone is really just afraid. And what we really need to do is start having faith again, that we can put God in control of our lives. And we don't need to, fight the world, for God's supremacy, God's already supreme and we are the weakest links, so we really actually need to start trying to live our lives the way Jesus showed the example. And the Bible says it will be known by our love. And I'd like to see that rise again. And so in order to do that, we have to break free from this mantle of fear. And so So much of the music carries those themes, and it's our goal to literally just go out and play music and hope that the power of the music, pray with people and ask for God to just lift this, the spirit of fear off of us so that we can start loving our neighbors as ourselves again.
I would agree with that. So no disagreement here on anything that you said. So we can agree. Ash, why is this important to you right now?
So important to share, like Dawn said, God's love, and getting to minister through music is so special because I know how much music has ministered to me in my life. So getting to be on the other end of that and reach different people, hopefully reach, people that we're supposed to reach through this and Christian music is just amazing.
And Gina down at the bottom on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, truly, this is it's such a blessing to get to reach out to so many other people that I feel like a lot of the CCM stuff, like it's fantastic. I listen to it, I love it, but there is like a whole other group of people that like doesn't necessarily resonate with them as much, and for like the music that we're getting to make and share with everybody, it's like still targeting such like specific messages to a group of people that probably just it's resonating with more people than ever before. And I really enjoy the fact that it's like I love the message behind everything. I receive it in such a specific way, and I just love getting to share that with other people too. And just seeing how people like have like a certain line in a song that they're like, I heard this in one of your songs and it really spoke to me. And it's just so fascinating how the Lord really just does speak and move through everybody in their own way, and how certain things really stick out in certain moments. And it's been such a blessing to just be able to share that I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's been so great.
Well, Jesus did say, go ye into the world. And I believe that's what you're doing with your music, is you're going into the world with your music, and you're reaching a set of people that would not necessarily even go into church, that need to hear the message and that are really dealing and struggling with fear. All too often we've thought that they all just need to come to us and we just all need to get them into church, but we need to go out into the world, and that's what you're doing. And I want to focus on this a little bit more because it's something that I'm absolutely fascinated with, because I've kind of lived it personally, and how music affects people. And in general, how would you say that music helps people overcome fear?
I think that, we see instances in the Bible where God worked through music, and it just kind of hints at the power that that music has. I think that it's kind of like our minds are kind of like big computers, right? We have all this information stored for years and years and years, stuff that we can't even access anymore, but it's there. But one day you might smell something, and that smell will bring, a memory back. And the next thing you know, you're kind of transported back. And I think it's very similar when you hear music. And I know for me, like I can hear a song and suddenly I'm back there writing, my mom's driving and I'm in the minivan and I'm crying, like suddenly I'm there again. And I think it has all that wrapped into one. And then the power of the Holy Spirit, obviously, coming through as well. And so for me, when a good song to me, like, people used to kind of like, they'd be like, oh, your songs are all dark. They're depressing. Why don't you sing something happy? I'm like, well, for me, I love good, happy song. I'll dance around in a heartbeat, but I just have had a lot of good material in the other direction from my personal experiences. And, I know that for me, listening to a song and feeling, like seen and feeling like I can hear my story in that song, it fills me with so much strength. And I think we're just so often like hiding, we're trying to, I know for me, I just like, if I have a problem, I just try to deal with it by myself, and people ask me for, I'm like, oh, I'm fine. No, I don't need help. That's like my natural default setting. And it's just, and once we're alone, you know, it's so easy to just only hear those negative voices and our inner critic. So to me, when I feel like someone else understands what I'm going through, it is an incredible force for good in my life, because I don't feel so alone anymore. I don't feel isolated. I don't feel like I have to hide. I feel like somebody sees me, you know, and that my life can matter. So because of that, I think that, you know, that's, you know, one of the reasons why I've never shied away from like tough topics and like that kind of stuff in our music, because that's the kind of stuff that I've dealt with in my life. All the people who write in, you know, talking to us about their stories and like that, that's the kind of stuff that they're dealing with, you know? And so I think that music has power on so many levels, and especially when the lyrics help you feel like you're seen. Because, you know, I used to, all the time when people would come to talk to me about their problems, I would feel like I needed to fix them. And I'd be like, oh, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? You know? And I never felt like I got anywhere that way. But I learned finally, actually, people just need someone to listen and hear what they're going through, to say, I'm so sorry, this is awful. And then they say, yeah, it is awful. And then when they feel seen, suddenly they feel stronger. And even though the situation is still the same, they're able to stand up to it again another day, because someone has listened and validated them and made them feel like their experience is real. And once they feel that, now they are empowered, you know, to keep fighting.
Ash and Gina, do you have anything to add to that? That is so powerful, about not feeling alone and processing it, and processing the fact that other people are going through the same thing. Ash and Gina, go ahead.
Yeah, I just know that in my personal experience, I do, like, the songs that I relate to the most, they're probably going to be my favorite songs, where I feel the most seen, the most heard, like Dawn said. So I think the more honest somebody is in a song, and the more vulnerable, it really connects with people.
Absolutely. I feel that too. And I really love how sometimes like music just truly can give like a fresh perspective. Kind of like what Dawn was saying about like how certain songs, it'll make you want to stand up. And it's like, just, you know, be able to feel like you can lead head first with certain things. And it is really amazing how it can just like open you up and truly be like, yeah, I'm not alone in this. And it's because of this other person's like way of putting that into my head and my heart. I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do something with this. So I love the fresh perspective that music can give.
Yeah. Dawn, you were just saying a moment ago, and I find this interesting, you write music that's on the darker and more probably in the minor key side, and that's what you gravitate towards?
Oh, well, maybe. I don't read music. I play by ear. And so like, but yes, probably so. Because, you know, I guess for me, I often think about like notes and melody. When I'm thinking about lyrics, it can go both ways, but most times I'll be thinking about a lyric, and I will try to think, like, because for me, I strive mostly for authenticity. Because I think when something's authentic, then that's when the most people are going to be able to relate to it. And so I will just think about, you know, the words, and then try to figure out like, how does that want to sing, you know? And so I guess, yeah, like when you're saying things like, here I am, you're not like, here I am, you know, you just don't do that.
So that's a relief to hear. We're not going to expect any yacht rock albums coming from you or anything like that. You're going to stay in your job. Good.
Not this year.
I'm the same way. I gravitate towards, and when I was playing musical instruments, this was years ago, my mom asked me, can you play anything that's not in a minor key? And I just really couldn't. I just gravitate towards that, and that resonates with me. And that kind of leads me to my next question, and it's the critic's question is what I call it. There's always the critic that's out there. How does harder, heavier music itself, that particular genre, helps somebody process anger, deal with fear, deal with uncertainty, because there are so many critics that say, well, when you listen to that, that's going to make you more fearful. The harder, the darker that it is, it's going to affect your health and raise your stress levels. What's your answer to the critic on that one?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously something to be said for lyrics that are evil. You know, I
Right.
think that's probably not ever going to inspire good. Put that out there. But when you look at the heart behind the music, and if the message is offering hope, because I mean, the fact is we live in a dark world. I have never known how dark it was until very recently. Like, I knew it, but I mean, yeah, everybody knows what I'm talking about. And
Yep.
so we live in a dark world, and people are going through dark things. And unless you live in a bubble, you know, I think it's pretty rare that people escape unharmed. And so for me, the music, when it is intense and is full of energy, what a great way to process, because we try to push things down, you know, and just put a smiley face on it, you know, and men are taught to not show any emotions, you know, and they just shove it down, you know, and then guess how that works? Not good. It comes out, you know, it comes out in bad ways. We see it a lot. And so for me, I think having music that is heavy, that is, you know, I even like, we don't scream, but we have tons of friends who have screaming in their music, you know? And if this is music that someone can truly connect with, then why would you not try to reach people through the music that they connect with? And if the heart of the music is there and the spirit is there, God's going to work through it. You know, his word does not return void. And I see it over and over again. And actually, like the whole emo, screamo, hardcore scenes was pretty much launched by Christian musicians. And so, and it used to be like one of the fastest growing, you know, scenes. So I think that God can use whoever he wants and whatever he wants. And if so, some people are feeling inspired to create this kind of music, far be it from me. You know, there may be music styles that I don't like. And I'll be like, you know, this is not to me. Okay, well, that's none of my business then. I'm going to stay in my lane and do my thing. And yeah, it sounds a lot like not being judgmental.
I am definitely a rocker, so I find rock music very therapeutic. And like Dawn was saying, I love a good scream. I love like the powerful guitar riffs. Just, I love it all. So
Yeah, I feel like I mean, it's hard to, I understand if it's not your cup of tea as far as the genre, then sure, but it's hard to say anything negative when you're really looking into the lyrics of what the message like behind the song really is. I mean, case closed, final point. That's what it's about.
Is it a better time to scream, you know, at your loved ones, or to get that out, you know, through creative outlets?
Honey, I will talk to you after I go listen to some hard, heavy music.
Let it out.
I will be down in about 15 to 20 minutes, and we will have the conversation then. Well, you know, when you read the Bible, when you really, I mean, not just read it, but when you study it, you see all the different genres of music and every type of literature that's found in Scripture. I mean, Book of Revelation, that is intensely metal when you take a look at the way that it's written. Probably the most gothic book that's ever been written is the Book of Lamentations in the Old Testament. Extremely gothic, you know, somewhat emo as well. That's all in there. As a matter of fact, that's what Lamentations means. It means sorrow. It means crying. So, and that's what that's about. You find all of that in there. Then you find the joyful in there. I have yet to find country music in there, but I probably haven't gotten to those chapters and verses yet. So
What did we say about being judgmental?
exactly. Exactly. I want to ask a question for our younger viewers, because it takes time to really process what you're feeling, and you really can't put your finger on it. I had no idea for several years that I was dealing with anxiety until I was like, oh, wow. I had somebody who was much wiser than I kind of point that out. Didn't know that I had some PTSD as well. And I know that there's many people, even our younger people, that are living in fear, but they don't realize it. They know that they feel a certain way, but they can't put it in a category. And as our good friend G.I. Joe from the 80s used to say, knowing is half the battle. So how can somebody discern?
I was alive for that. You also probably heard me say that, but that may be the only time they heard it. Yeah, you know, childhood is a hard time. I mean, in some ways, it's the easiest time. Well, depending on who your parents are, it can also be the absolute worst.
Good point.
But I know for me, like thinking back to high school, I was so afraid. I was so afraid of being embarrassed and of not fitting in and being alone. And even like I've been trying to learn a lot. One thing I've learned is that, you know, connection is something for the most part that is hardwired into us. And like, you know, back in the day when we were living in the woods and stuff like that, if you got ostracized, you're probably going to get eaten by a bear, right? You need to stay in your village where there's lots of people with lots of spears. You know, it takes a lot of people to kill a bear. So there is like a biological component to that and survival. And so I started trying to let myself off the hook for that a little bit, just realizing, oh my goodness, I have a biological imperative to be connected and not be rejected. So we're dealing with that on the inside. That's like our brain chemistry working with us. And then we got all the cultural messages that say that we need to dress this way or act this way or be this person, to not be like anybody else or be just like everybody else. It's all the things. And so it's a hard road to walk. And because you don't have very much power, like you don't feel in control at all. You know, the adults are in control. Mm-hmm. And so it can just be a really fearful time. And I think really, I know for me, what I've had to learn is that when I start to feel myself kind of triggered, like I feel anxiety building within myself, instead of just letting that carry me where it wants to take me, now I try to stop and get curious about it. And I say, okay, what's happening? Why is, I call her little Dawn, the little me who lives inside me, where my maturity tries to go whenever I get fearful. It's back to my 7-year-old self. And I say, okay, what's happening? Why am I feeling this way? And then I started to kind of take it apart a little bit and see what's up. You know, am I feeling rejected here by the fact that this person didn't wear the matching shirt that I thought we were both going to wear to school today? You know, like what's happening? How do I feel? and at that point, that's when I try to allow myself be comforted by the positive influences that I have. I know that God sees me as his precious child, and he loves me unconditionally, and he's not concerned with appearances. And I tried to return myself to that, to thinking about the fact how God sees me and the value that God sees I have and the value that God sees everyone around me has. And by doing that, slowing myself down, I can take the control out of my fear, away from my fear, and start putting it back where I want it to be, which is in believing that God made me to be who I am.
That's beautiful, because we are made in his image. And that's something I think we so often forget. And I think that's something that's not preached enough, or there's a lot of misunderstanding what it means to be made in God's image.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Ash and Gina, anything else on that?
I was literally thinking as she was speaking, we all are image bearers. So it's good to remember that. That's something my dad always says too when he's preaching, like we're all made in the image of God. So it can be hard to, you know, if you or doing this with somebody, but we got to remember we're all made in the image of God.
I like that, image bearer. That's really important to remember that. Really important. And here's the $64,000 question for the night. I wish I did have $64,000 to give out, but
if I could just have like 3 of them, that would really help me.
I think I got some change under the table here. That I can send you, right? Venmo, PayPal, or
3 of the thousands. I mean, 3 of the thousands. To be
how does faith in Jesus help someone overcome fear?
I feel like I love that question because kind of going back to what you were talking about with like the anxiety thing, like I've been diagnosed with anxiety, but it took an expert to get to that point. It took a lot of questions and a lot of, there were a lot of question marks for a long time until like a professional was able to kind of give me a clear answer. And I think it's really funny that this has, I guess, been the topic of the EP and all the things, because recently in my own personal life, like I said, I did struggle with anxiety for a long time, to the point of having physical effects that I just couldn't control on my own without medication. And recently in my head, I've been thinking about the fact that through so many, good things that cause anxiety in like positive ways, like I'm excited for something good, like getting to play shows, and also having negative effects just in life that cause not fun anxiety. I've been noticing that in my own personal, like I'm just not having that. And I feel deep in my soul that for me, this is probably the strongest my faith has been in my whole life. I feel like I am closer and having more personal relationship with Jesus. And it took a long, it's building relationship like anything else. And I really strongly feel that in myself, that I'm having this positive, like less fear, less anxiety, less having to take medication, because I am truly trying to let go of control and just truly hands up, letting Jesus drive. And I really resonate with, like I said, the music that we've been doing, just because that has been something so heavy in my heart and my mind, because it's something that I'm noticing in myself. And I really, like, I can only hope and pray that others kind of get to that point. But like I said, it wasn't just like an overnight thing. And everything is for a reason. It's been a blessing in disguise for, I had it for a reason. But truly, I do feel like my growth and my relationship with Jesus has like just taken my faith to another step, where I don't need to be worried and fearful for even what tomorrow will bring or the next hour or anything like that. I can just fully let him control and drive the whole thing. And it's a sense of peace that, I mean, it's been such a blessing to ever experience this peace, truly. But it's thanks to Jesus, truly.
Gina, I want to share something with you that I really heard the Lord speak to me yesterday in church, and then it was brought to my remembrance as I was doing my afternoon run this afternoon, getting ready for the show. And I found it was very interesting what he spoke to me. And I think this is for you, is that you are in bondage to nothing except Jesus. And his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Nothing else holds you. And that goes for anybody that's watching the show that is saved, that is born again. You can wake up tomorrow morning, or you can just say right now that I am in bondage to nothing but Jesus. And his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And I really think that's for you, Gina, just to hold on to that. And anybody else that is watching or listening, I was like, wow, I found it really strange that just came to my mind again when I was out this afternoon. It's like, okay, yeah, I got that. And I feel freer just walking in that. And just hearing what you say or just said a few moments ago, I hope that you're blessed by that. And we have to get to the debut single, Black Hole. Yeah, I love it. That's why I reached out to you guys to bring you on the show. It is an awesome song. I am totally fascinated by the title. How does something that we find in outer space relate to the message of overcoming fear and the mission of ALTIRA?
I think that in this instance, for me, you talk about struggling with fear and your anxiety in your own life. I experienced a lot of trauma early on in my life, and as a result, like, I just started kind of living according to that trauma. You know, at the time, counseling was not a big thing going on and everything like that. So I didn't get any counseling when I was young. And I sort of just tried to manage on my own. And I developed all of these behaviors that I thought were protecting me and keeping me safe. But they really were just me just white knuckling it, you know? And so having lived with fear being a major pushing force for so much of my life, I just saw the roads that it led me down, you know, and looking back now, I just see how fear was in the driver's seat. And I do think, because anxiety and fear and all that, it's like a constant, you know, like sucking, like we talk about how, it's just like, yeah, it's something that's like always collapsing in on itself. You know, it keeps you abandon yourself, you leave yourself behind in order to try to fit into what fear is driving you to do, to try to protect yourself, because you have this illusion, you know, that we're going to get there. You know, I'm going to control every aspect of my life, and then I won't have to be afraid. And we never get there. So we're always afraid. So for me, that's the representation of a black hole. And in the chorus of this song talks about how, you know, how God was the sun pulling us back, you know, from the black hole, that he's our gravity, you know, he's the thing pulling us back towards the light and towards the life. You know, we're all held in the sun's gravity, like all the planets, you know, and God is you know, is the source of life for us. And so that's where black hole comes from, is that like, that's what we're trying to escape. And thankfully we have God who wants to hold us and keep us from getting sucked in and having to be a slave to fear for all of our lives.
That's really deep. You've got the collapsing, you've got getting sucked in, you've got the, you can't get out of it. Sounds like my 1993 Ford Escort I used to own. It kept collapsing. I couldn't get out. No. I just kept sucking my money away.
Yeah, money pit.
Total money pit. Well, this is Black Hole by ALTIRA.
Smiling and waving like on a floating a parade. I wore a pretty mask to hide all my crazy, but you saw through me and offered me your smile. It was like you knew me and saw me with new eyes. You make me feel like a miracle. To make me feel at their table, they like to wish my pain away. If I'm not better soon, they'll say I'm not faithful, but you still want me.
What excites each of you the most about the road ahead for the band? And can we expect at least maybe an EP in the near future? What's coming up next?
Yeah. Yes, we have a group of songs. We are releasing them one at a time, but after the fourth one comes out, then the EP will be complete. It's called The Death of Fear EP. And our next single, it's 2 singles from now, the title track will release, called Death of Fear. And so yes, we look forward to that, and we're gonna try to maybe do a pre-sale and stuff like that, so people who want to have a physical copy and that kind of stuff can get one. And until then, you can go and pre-save every time we announce the next single. Our next single is already for pre-saves right now. It's almost out. That one's called Here I Am. And I think for me, what I'm most excited about is, like, we just got off the road doing a tour with 70 Slumber and Magdalene Rose, and it went really awesome. And we just had a really amazing time connecting. It's been forever since I have toured, and it's been like 6 years. So I was really terrified. But everything went pretty smoothly, very thankfully. And it just was so great to be back in, just to be back out, you know, meeting people, talking to people, sharing with people, and listening to people. That's kind of, I think, maybe like a sweet spot for me. And I just felt so at peace. And so I'm super excited about any opportunities that God brings our way for us to be able to go out and speak life into the world, into the church.
Ash, how about for you? What are you excited most about with the band?
I have just been having the time of my life. This has been such an answered prayer to get to rock out. And, you know, I've been a Fireflight fan, for a very long time. So this is just crazy to me. But I'm excited to see where God's going to take us. Like, I'm just like, Lord, I give this to you, and I'm so ready for whatever path you're going to have us walk down. So just grateful.
Gina?
Yeah, this is definitely like answered prayers for sure. Just getting to do what I love and be able to glorify God and stuff. And I'm just so excited to, I guess, continue to share like these important messages and, spread the love of Jesus and make people feel like they aren't alone. I mean, it truly is so, it's exciting to like get the feedback and hear how it really is already like resonating with people. So I'm just excited to see it continue to grow and everything. So,
hey, and if our audience, if they want to find out more about ALTIRA and what you're up to and what you're doing, we'll put the links down below. But where's the best place for them to go find out more about what is happening?
They can come to our website, altiramusic.com. And they can come to our Instagram, ALTIRA Music. We also have a page on Facebook. Please come, if you're on Instagram or whatever, come find us. We just started this brand new like a couple months ago, and it takes a long time to get the word out. And it's hard for people to even know you're there because of the algorithm. So please come find us and share us, please, so we can try to get the word out to as many people as possible. And we're there in our messages and all that kind of stuff too. And we're happy to pray for you. And yeah, we love to just connect with everybody that we can.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And hey, those links are down below. And I'm just excited that we were able to get you on the front end of this exciting journey before everything takes off and you're just on the road all the time again and super busy. It's really exciting to be at the beginning part of a project. So I want to thank you for joining us. Absolutely. Hey, everybody. And until next time, peace out and rock on.
Lithoscry.com